Above their heads, steaming for all to see. El Cachorro, El Cachorro. There's a dawn superheroes day today for you and me. El Cachorro, El Cachorro.
Hello, Cachorroites, back with another Monarch Legacy of Monsters review. We're going to do 2 episodes since I didn't get around to making a video for the last one, so it's episodes 4 and 5. We're at the halfway point. And might as well put these two together anyways because, well, for the most part, they pretty much both stay in the modern storyline. We don't get any jump backs, which is disappointing because I really actually like those storylines better. But, these episodes were all right. I mean, they kind of, I thought we did start off really strong. These ones kind of dipped down a little to about middle of the pack. But we get some interesting stuff in them. Show went away from where I thought the show was going to go a little bit. I'm still enjoying the show. I think it's a pretty good show. I really don't understand this Monarch approach that they're going with. It doesn't really seem to fit the storyline that we're in, that we know from this here. So, I mean, that's kind of puzzling to me still. And I thought maybe they were just going a certain way with that, but they're kind of still sticking with it with some stuff. But I digress. So I think I've been pretty high on the last 2 episodes. So so before we get into the spoilers here, I guess we'll go with episode 4. I'd probably stay around about a 7. Episode 5, I'd maybe dip that back down to 6-ish, because it was just really a filler episode, not for the most part, just jumping the story to the next section, which I think we do have something good coming, because where we find out. But there's the non-spoiler stuff, so we'll try and talk about stuff as quickly as we can here. So episode 4, we're still in Alaska. We still pretty much focuses all around this guy, our ice dragon thing. So it starts off pretty much where we left off. It's attacking the ship. Kintaro dives for a flare gun. Couldn't think of the term. Shoots off a flare. Monster watches it fall. Hits the snow. Doesn't go chasing after or anything. Because they tried to pull a little Jurassic Park reference there, maybe. But we find out a little more about this later. So they all run from him. They all end up hiding in this ice cave. And, of course, we have one character who's... Everybody's standing on rocks. Our May is standing on just a patch of ice, which starts cracking under things, and she falls in, and there's loose water there, so she gets half submerged in water. They're pretty supposed to be high up on a mountain, so I don't know if that's pretty accurate. Not that there would be water up there, but okay. So, the Titan, wanders off. So they decide to start. They have to, try and book it to get out of the fine civilization. And worried about, obviously, she's now half soaked from her legs down, and that's hypothermia. So their goal was to, hey, we go to the coast. Closer we get to the coast, we'll find civilization, which is true for about Alaska. And then we get a call back to Kintaro. Seen the plane where he said, "Hey, what's that?" Suppose he mentions he saw a structure. No one believes him. They climb. Well, first they climb to the top of a mountain to take a look around. They don't see the structure anywhere, but they do see this shimmering blue light shooting up in the air. So most of the group decides to go towards that. Well, he's like, "I saw what I saw, and I'm going to go to it. It was closer." Kind of a little forced. I mean, hey, we don't see what you're looking for, man, but we do see that. We should go towards that. But hey, so he goes his own way. They go to their way. Whoever finds help gets help. Call for help. Like I said, I feel like it was a forced split. For some reason, some of the girls are, including May, still got this animosity and turn towards him. We will go on to say that this episode is though the Kentaro episode because he gets intermingled with flashbacks of him. I guess I don't know how far. Where was it supposed to be from? I don't know. His, I guess, before G-Day happens, kind of his life a little bit. So we get cuts to it's now night, so they're all starting to freeze. He's wandering on a plane alone. He starts having hallucinations, which I'm not sure if that's a cold thing or not. If you're freezing to death, do you start hallucinating? I guess it's possible. So we learn about his backstory is he's an aspiring artist trying to do stuff. He's trying to do it. He's got an art show, his first art show, to try and sell some weird. I guess he's selling these weird giant pieces with that faces that light up on them. Hey man, people like art. Art's art, man. People like art. Whatever. So he's like practicing his speeches as the promo person. So I'm like, you gotta be more confident. So we see him, then he's outside taking a picture, and that's when Maeve walks by in the middle of his picture, and that's when they first meet. He starts trying to impress her, and takes her to this fancy bar and to his place, and they end up hooking up. And he misses a lot of his art shows, but then he finally goes to it. So we're cutting. So we have that pretty much of his backstory that was being shown. Well, he's having these hallucinations, of back and forth. Our other characters are trying to go to the blue light. Oh, yeah, I guess we did miss another thing. So the episode actually opens in Arizona or Utah. So we have like some chick on a RV starts getting these readings going off. As they call it, a pulsar is being detected, and it's coming from Alaska. And supposedly the last time this happened was when before Godzilla showed up in G-Day. So this was never mentioned in the movie, obviously. Godzilla just kind of just showed up when they started doing at Hawaii. So they bring in our Tim guy, so they're all kind of arguing about arguing about it, and the video chat in is Tim, and we find out he's the guy that nobody likes at the office and no one talks to at lunch in the break room. And he's like, "Here, we thought we were here to study and learn about atomic monsters, and you guys should be more open-minded." I really don't understand what they're even arguing about here. They're trying to figure out whether, but whatever. Then we find out that our Lee Shaw with Kate and May, while trying to go towards the blue light, have ended up back at the campsite from the previous episode, their dad's campsite. And they've decided that they have to, they need to build a fire to warm May up, or she's not going to survive. So they should do that. So we're kind of going back and forth between the two, causing the flashbacks here. I guess May's kind of having these, kind of hint that I don't know if she's supposed to be having the flashbacks too. We find out that we get another part where May's got has a sister. Supposedly that's who she's talking to on the phone in that one episode maybe, and she gets a call from her again in this episode, so something there. So she has some kind of troubled past. We know she's from Tacoma, Washington, we find out in this episode. Or at least that's where she claims. So a little more teasing about her story. So I guess we have her flashback episode coming up at some point. Her story episode. So Kentaro, we know, then gets to the point where he's like with his hallucinations. He pretty much so at the very end of it, he hallucinates about his dad showing up. Well, he's hallucinations of his dad walks by and he sees the pencil carvings that I guess I'm hoping he was imagining. I hope they weren't real. That kind of leads him to where he visions back the art center again, and it ends up being like an outpost, a rundown, broken down outpost. That's with what he saw from the plane. To which he had a vision of his dad showed up at the art show, and he's like, "Oh, I was a failure. I only sold a couple. I sold a couple pieces, but the art person still dumped me anyways." And his dad's like, "Oh no, I'm proud of you," and all this stuff and that. And he comes back to the present, so he's in this. There's like a radio kind of buzzing, so he's pretty much just dusting it off, and he finds more pencil carvings on the desk there to show that his dad was there, and supposedly his dad fixed the radio. So we cut back to the other guys. May's starting to feel her legs again, so they're starting to warm up. All of a sudden, our Titan appears again. And he comes after him, but then he just eats the fire that they built. And that's when they kind of put together that he's attracted to heat. So they concoct a plan to set a trap for him with airplane fuel. While they're doing this, a helicopter starts. They start hearing the helicopters like scribbling around, and then the Titan comes after them because I guess he's detecting their body heat. He's chasing the two girls here. He uses his little freeze powers on the laptop computer, but then Lee Shaw blows up the airplane fuel and gets its attention. And then he's able to somehow run and catch up to those girls as they're getting to the helicopter, where we find Kentaro is the one that called the helicopter in. He's on there, so they all get on there. The monster tries to make one last lunge at them, and they fly away. We find out, though, the laptop has been ruined, destroyed. The sister, Kate, is like thankful for just her family, for Kentaro actually saving them and stuff like that. But meanwhile, May just thanks Kate for protecting her and doesn't thank him at all. So there's still some hidden animosity between these two. And that's where that episode ends. So, like I said, so we get a lot of Titan action with this guy. He's pretty much the bully of chasing him through the episode most of the time. We get some backstory on Kentaro. So, like I said, it was a nice little somewhat action episode, even if some of the best parts. So everybody's got their toboggans on and their hoodies up. Kurt Russell's running around the whole time with his hood. It's supposedly freezing cold weather. He's just running down with his hood down, so Kurt Russell can't hide Kurt Russell's hair. So I thought that was kind of a little funny that he never was really like dressed for the cold. So I was like, that's kind of was breaking the realism. Like the dude's just like, I'm cool, man. I ain't freezing at all. Oh, then the episode. Oh, I guess we should mention at the early end of the episode is the helicopter lands. They open a door, and there's our Monarch people saying, "Hey, welcome to Monarch." So that was them. They came and they caught them. So everyone's like, "Oh no!" So that's how the episode ends. Like I said, it was not a bad little action episode. It was nice little move them off to the next part. So yeah, that's where they showed up at the end. So our next episode opens up with all of our characters in like cells with like a chair, except for May, who's like on a stretcher because she's still like recovering from hypothermia. So they're all locked up in these like prison cells, kind of things, with cameras on them, which like doesn't really make sense. Why is Monarch like totally treating them like this, like these prisoners kind of thing? We don't see the chick. We only see her interview May. She goes in, tries to say, "I know you got a backup copy of all the files, and we can help each other." This, and find out that she also has a passport with a different name, and that May's not actually might not be actually her real name. Leaves like a little card with a number on it, saying, "Hey, we can help each other." We don't see the other two kids interviewed, but they just expose say that they know nothing. And so they decide to opt on to just put the kids on. He brings in the idea, since they're related to the founders of Monarch and everything, their dad worked for Monarch, that maybe we should bring them in. It's in their family, and her and the other main chick, deputy director. Duval? Oh no, there's Vertigo. Decide to like put them on a long leash, let them keep going and doing their thing, and we'll just kind of like follow them, kind of thing. And they pretty much let him go, but they keep Commander Shaw because he's there's more secrets, and Deputy Director Verda says she'll handle him herself. So they drop him off. We see him drop him off, let him free. They all kind of, the guy tries to be the Tim guy tries to play his nice cop with him. They all pretty much cuss him out. So he's like, "Hey, you guys should be lucky. You could have been killed and all this stuff like that. I put myself on the line to save you guys, to let you guys out, and blah 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 stuff. And here's some money and stuff like that, and passports." And he gets back in. He's just, "How'd I do?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're learning. You're doing good." So to go to the airport, they're supposed to have tickets to Tokyo. She's ready to go to Tokyo, but they're kind of like, "Hey, no, we gotta keep following. We gotta find out we gotta keep following things." And she does admit she's got files in the cloud somewhere saved. She's willing to give it to them and let her go, but they kind of keep dragging her in there. Like, just say screw you guys and leave. You could just say, what, this is your dad. You guys have put me into this hole long enough. I'm out of here. But so they decide to keep researching stuff to go further. So we see the show that she starts doing, So they start like an old footage of him back in the 50s with the Randas to try and loosen him up a little bit, and she goes and starts talking to him. This is a good scene right here, is where these two are talking, and she points out the fact that he's supposed to be in his like 90s, and he looks pretty damn good for being in his 90s. To which she kind of hints that there was something in the books that kind of explains this. So supposedly something maybe happened. I don't know if we'll find that out in this show or not. But they kind of give something up saying, "Hey, yeah, we know he doesn't look..." Because one storyline is like in the 50s. This is 2015 or something like that, I believe. 2015. It's supposed to be like a year after that. So, yeah, he should be super duper old. Like I said, in my other one, I was like, maybe you could make the excuse of the 50s character may have been like 18, 19, even though his son looks way older than that. So his son, like I said, it looks like he's, upper 20s, maybe 30. So like I said, this guy should be super old. So they did hint that there might be some reasoning for that we might find out at some point. Who knows? So we get the expose with him as we find out he's admitted that he has told the kids nothing important. He made sure that they didn't find out stuff they weren't supposed to know. And kind of hinting that, he's taking shots at how she's still not the big wig, and I guess saying that she's wants to be the big wig and still can't get there. And there's kind of like some threatening back and forth between the two. And he's saying how Monarch brought up the 60 years of preparing, and your plan was let them fight. It's like, what if Godzilla lost? So pretty much saying that their preparation was bad. What other good tidbits we find out from him? Suppose he did try to do a couple escapes, but it's been a long time, so why he's helping these kids. So he brings up the fact that he believes that the father is alive somewhere. Oh yeah, I guess I should have mentioned. At the end of the previous episode, we see the light they were going to was this big glowing hole in the ground that had this auras coming out of it. My guess on that is it's a entrance to the Hollow Earth. And I guess last time that popped up was when Gojira came back to play. So I guess it was never really hinted. I mean, it was hinted he used the underground tunnels to try to get around the Earth a lot quicker. Maybe that's what these are supposed to be. The big hint is Godzilla's pretty much stayed away from the Hollow Earth. Does not go into the Hollow Earth itself. I guess we're supposed to get that in the next movie. But it's supposed to be he kept the Hollow Earth closed off, kept Ghidorah from getting to the Hollow Earth, and he just pretty much protected the top layer. This is what I got from the previous movies, at least. So pretty much, so we got them going back and forth, just kind of big, taking shots at each other. I can bury you. I have secrets. Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, our kids decide to go to San Francisco because they're going to their dad's office in San Francisco. We meet Kate's mom, who kind of had a suspicion that he may have been cheating on her anyways, but sent her daughter there to because her daughter was wasting away in her room just after the trauma after the attack. Just locked. She had a bunch of kids that died. And so this episode's pretty much her backstory. And this one is, this one's going to probably cost the show some fans. Because they went there. So, yeah, she is a school teacher. And in one of the flashbacks, we find, as the flashbacks go on, we find out she is a lesbian school teacher. Because we have one, so she, and we also find out that because she has some, as they're going through as they're trying to sneak into the San Francisco zone, they kind of get, so pretty much San Francisco is warded off. Certain people are allowed to go in certain areas to like collect. Her mom is on somehow as this group that gets to go in and try and find people's belongings and stuff like that. The inner more sanctions is like completely cordoned off by the army, and no one's allowed in there, and they get arrested for trying and called looters and stuff like that. So she gets her mom to sneak them in, and then they go off on their own with the product saying, "Hey, you got to be because they paid off the guards, so I guess let them sneak some people in." But the goal is they have to be back and leave altogether in the morning, or else their mom gets in trouble too if they're without people. So throughout the episode, as they're trying to wander through San Francisco, she keeps having her flashbacks to things. And the one cool part is a couple of times it goes to the day before Godzilla's and the Muto's attack, and they keep popping up on the screen G-Day -1. That has to be intentional. If that is a coincidence, that's hilarious. That has to be an ode, because when they're making this show, they know that Toei's working with them on this stuff, right? So they know Toei's got a movie coming out called Godzilla -1. It has to be intentional that they did that in this one. So G-Day -1. I mean, there'd be other ways you could have worded that. Pre-G-Day or something like that. So that had to be like a little ode to the movie there. Hey, we know this movie's out. We're going to do a little call out for the movie. It's just too much of a coincidence. It had to be intentional. But yeah, like I said, so she doesn't believe she thinks the monster attacks and Hawaii was fake. She's a teacher. She's got something going on with this other female teacher who wants her to move in with her. Later in the episode, we find out she's currently living with another woman as they wake up together. So she's kind of got two girlfriend kind of thing. So she was with this one and left her for this one, and now this wants her back. I don't know. Obviously, this runs in the family. She's talking about her dad having two wives, and she's around here messing around with several women. Two different girlfriends. But yeah, the right-wingers are probably going to get angry at this show, and if the Godzilla purple dorsal fins isn't enough to get now, we already got people yelling woke. Now this show's going to get people called MonsterVerse woke. It's all I can say is she lives in San Francisco, guys. Yo, it's San Francisco. I mean, what else do you expect in San Francisco? But yeah, she keeps having flashbacks between that and her dad leaving and the Godzilla attack, and she watched a bunch of her kids die, so she's obviously suffering some PTSD stuff. There's some scenes where she gets kind of closer with Kentaro, because he knows, both of the other two know that she's kind of struggling here a little bit, and then there's a lot of bad memories. I also overheard her and the mom talking a little bit. So he does this thing that he knows his dad used to do, where they would sing some commercial catch tunes and try and cheer up a little bit that way. We have scenes where May's trying to talk her through things. So they have a couple run-ins. Almost get caught by the military a few times. One time they were able to distract them with cats. Another time they went down to the subway, and there just happened to be some other looters in the subway that the military went chasing after. Very convenient. But they end up making, of course, they find their dad's building, which is this big, giant, fancy building. Of course, and there is a flaw in the episode here. So so obviously there's no power, so they got to walk all the way to his dad's almost at the top. So they're in his dad's office, and they're shining their flashlights around. I'm like, yeah, you're not supposed to be there, and if you're way up on the air and you're shining flashlights around, people are going to see your flashlights. Of course, the movie, it doesn't go anywhere with that, but that is logic right there. But I did notice that. It's like you shouldn't be shining your flashlights. People would see that. So we're getting close to dawn. So they're searching the office. You can't find. There's no hidden safe in this one. And it's getting close to dawn, so they're running out of time. So they start putting together the map here with the lines, and then they have some computer files thing. So it indicates several points, and they realize it's a map of America, of the world without the continents on it. So Kitaro puts a piece of paper over the things they have on their computer file and indicates several key marks. Puts it up against the window so the sunlight goes through them, kind of Indiana Jones style, as they're falling through. This was San Francisco, Alaska, Africa. So they're assuming that their dad is on this path. He went from here to here to here. So that means I guess we're going to Africa in the next episode. So then they make it back to their meet up with their mom so they can get out of the quarantine zone. And that's when she kind of also reveals the mom's kind of getting close to the work friend. But then she also reveals to her mom's like, yeah, Dad's alive. I'm going to find him and get answers. So he's like, yeah. So they're chasing him. Oh, that, Atari goes and calls his mom, and then May goes off to make a phone call, and she calls the chick at Monarch, who's like, I'll be in touch and stuff like that. So now May is going to be, I guess, a kind of a mole kind of on the team because she wants out of she just wants to go home, and she wants, I mean, she could go. I don't know why she's letting them keep them here. She could go home. I mean, if her goal is to go back to Tokyo, I guess. I don't, or if she's winning something else, I don't know. But so she's going to be spying on them. Meanwhile, Lee Shaw and them saying, "Hey, we got talking about they also have to something they need to take care of." So they're off on some. He's being let out in cuffs and stuff. So he's might be going on a mission with Monarch, whatever. So like I said, this is just to push them to. So this episode is pretty much a filler episode just to push to the next area to give us character background on Kate. Finally get to meet her parents' side of the things and find out, I guess, we're going to Africa, which I'm assuming has got to be the location, because we know in the trailer there's Godzilla in like a desert location. So my assumption would be that's got to be in Africa, unless it's going to be a flashback. I also know from the breakdown of the next episode, we do get a 50s story in it because it hints that there's a military ball. And it also goes to the characters of Lee Shaw and Imiko getting closer, because it always kind of hinted that there may have been some kind of something going on with them. No Xbox. There's like, I guess this might take place in between the two time periods, because in the one episode that was in 59, it kind of hinted that there may have been some kind of relationship at some point with them. Before, I guess, she got in a relationship with Bill Randa. Because I guess obviously where they met Bill Randa, but there's not been a real connection that them to an item yet. So maybe she dated Lee Shaw for a little bit, and then she ended up falling for Bill Randa afterwards. So it's wondering if that's what we're going to get for that one. Can't remember what they said the modern day storyline was. But like I said, this one was kind of more of a boring episode. It wasn't, not much, really. Like I said, no monster action really at all, except for you saw a couple little tidbits of Godzilla in San Francisco. Some of the damage and just the damage that was caused. So hard to figure out if her character's still been like. These characters are okay to drive the show with. They're not the most. Like I said, it's really weird because this whole thing has got this Monarch is this evil dark organization, but in 2014 they were just studying the monsters. They were keeping things from the military, but then the military pulled them in for the Godzilla attack. Needed to know everything that was going on. All the way to Godzilla King of the Monsters, we know they're just trying to protect the Titans, not tell anything to the governments, keep them secret. This kind of, it's like this whole little, like, putting people in cells and all this stuff, like, these, like, they're worried about, like, I'm not quite sure what their goal, what there is, because they want these filed, but we still have no idea what these files are supposed to be about or what this is all leading to. And they keep acting like this dark, evil organization. I mean, they got the kids. Should just talk to them. Find out that, yeah, our dad's alive and we're chasing our father. That, if they want something to know what the dad was working on, wouldn't it make sense to work with these kids to help them find their father? So I don't know. I kind of feel like they're kind of convoluting the story a little bit more than it would need to be. Just so I guess they have this like tale of them all, Monarch trying to sneak around. I mean, I would think at this point they should have just joined forces together and like, all right, well, your father's alive. Well, that's what you're after. Oh, well, we have no problem with that. We'll help you find your father, because yeah, we want to know what your father was. We know the secrets of what's going on here. So I do feel like it's being a little more over convoluted than it needs to be. But hey, I still enjoy the show. It's still been a good time. I'm still having enjoy watching it, and I mean, there's some outside hope that we'd see some of the other guys. I'm pretty sure we're getting no Mothra, no Rodan. Or, obviously, Ghidorah, no Ghidorah. I mean, Ghidorah's, I guess there's possible. I mean, we know that there was a Mothra larva in the one, so you possibly could have done that. So I'm assuming we'll see some Godzilla in the next episode. I guess, or at least in one of the next 2 episodes. I know we see him in a desert thing. So I guess we're going to find out that these portal things are like the pathways from the Hollow Earth to different locations. And I mean, it's obviously kind of showed off. We also see one of these in the trailer for the new Godzilla Kong. So obviously these are Hollow Earth openings. So I guess we're going to find out Godzilla gets by and some of the Titans get by traveling through those. But hey, see where it goes from here. Like I said, I still enjoy the show. I think these 2 episodes are at the midpoint. I think these 2 episodes were kind of more downer episodes. The first couple episodes I thought were pretty solid, and the 4th episode I thought was decent enough with the Titan action. But this 5th episode was like definitely the midpoint episode was kind of blah. It wasn't, like I said, it was just pushing the narrative. Like I said, it did what it's supposed to do, push the story along, but no real big action stuff in that episode at all. So, but nope. So hopefully let's see what happens in episode 6. Hopefully we get some good storyline from the past. Hopefully something that, except we know it's a military ball, so I don't know if we're getting any excitement from that or not. And hopefully see what happens, I guess, on their way to Africa, or maybe find out some more stuff from the. I'm assuming Monarch and Shaw are going to go investigate the portal thing in Alaska or something, maybe. So we'll see. Until next time. Cachorro.